is that it's distributive. It's in all different homes. It's in different businesses. It creates industry. It puts small business owners. I'll give you an example. I've been the Johnny Appleseed for smart electric meters, which are meters that will run outside your house, that instead of going around and around that disc where you want to jam a stick in it because you just see your money flying out, instead will be turned into a digital signal. And that digital information of how much you use can be then transmitted either by wire or radio into a home, into a little computer, a little LCD. And that screen will show you at every time of the day how much usage you're actually doing. At the same time, radio waves can come from CBS or VOX or various signals, HUD, bandwidth that they're not using for very little. They will rent it out, and you can get real-time pricing of electricity in 5-minute blocks, which is, by the way, how the big guys do it. Corporations are able to use pricing of electricity in every 5-minute block, not once a day, twice a day, but as conditions occur. And every day it's different. Take the number of units of electricity times the price of that electricity per unit equals real pricing. What if you now had a whole industry that grew up that were able to put timers and electrically wire your entire house so that not for the time of day, not for usage, but wire it for what I call a dollarometer, which is the actual dollars being used. Don't measure thermometer and temperature, don't measure units, measure real cost.
Unlike what NICE used to have that plan when I was living in Putnam Valley, where from, I believe it was like after 8 o'clock
day and night,
until
day and night rates. Day and night, it averaged out the same, and it was always looking back. You see, electricity is kind of like walking into a pizza parlor and saying, "I'd like a slice of pizza," and you say to the guy, "I'd like a slice," and then if you really have your guts up, you'd say, "How much is that?" Right? He says, "Don't worry about it. I'll bill you next month." And next month you get the bill, and it's $37 for a slice of pizza. You're going to be furious, but you didn't know it, and you couldn't shop up front. This usage of smart electric meters will show you real-time pricing, and you then get to decide, like a good consumer, do I want to spend that dollar at that moment for that electricity? If not, you begin to turn things off or raise temperature during the summer, or lower that temperature in the winter accordingly. If it's not an expensive day, I'll keep my house 68 or 70. But if it's a real expensive day, I'm going to perhaps lower that temperature to 66, or 65 or 64, turn off computers and things like that. So conservation is big. The other part that's real big is renewable energy. And the heat of the sun, the heat, the geothermal from the earth, whether it's the photovoltaic, whether it's biomass, whatever the renewable fuel is, wind, hydro, we have the opportunity, frankly, we have the necessity of harnessing those. Ossining Public Library, Mount Kisco Public Library, Westchester Country Club, all use geothermal. It takes the heat of the earth, which is 5.5 feet down, where a lot of people want to send me at times, well, a little bit further, and it's a temperature of a constant 54, 55 degrees year round. That 54, 55 temperature can be utilized in the winter, so you're not cooling from 0, you're cooling from 55. You're heating from 55. Or cooling, you're not cooling it from 100, you're cooling it from 55. You use that transference of heat or in whichever season.
So over the course of a month and a year,
saves you a huge amount. Westchester Country Club saves over $100,000 a year by using geothermal and using the heat of the earth. Why aren't we all doing it?
And these applications are something that can be done.
There are businesses now,
right here,
and again, they're talk about trying to restart the economy in New York, Westchester, upstate New York. There are businesses, and I have them in my office, where they will come in and they will, with some incentives from the state, put in a geothermal unit in your house. And depending on the system that they put in, will save you money in very short order.
Sure. Almost pay for the
6 years, 7 years, 8 years, it's crossover, and then it's free from that point. And my wife, when I told it to her, she said, "But who's going to deliver the oil?" I said, "No, Jane, you're missing the point," which is fine. There's not going to be a need for oil in our house because geothermal will do it. So I'm hoping to turn to something like that. That's something I'd like to bring into my home, for example.
All right, the county is under, we read just the other day something about a calorie count. What is this?
Oh, okay.
What's this calorie count?
Yeah.
This is the spooking hour now on county legislators. We're trying to figure out what's going on down there.
There is a very healthy social agenda, quality of life agenda, and this was driven by our health commissioner. Health Commissioner working with the Board of Health has done certain things in terms of trans fats, in terms of obesity, certain things the state lets a Health Commissioner and a Board of Health do without legislation. They have the right to do it. But there was one area that New York City and a lot of other counties and cities around the country have begun to do. Westchester is the next one up. And we debated and spent 18 months. This was not just, oh, by the way, let's do it. Yeah. Many of us were very skeptical, myself included. I spent a lot of time on the necessity and the terms of the legislation. And in fact, we passed what's called a calorie count law. It will, starting about May 1st, give or take, any restaurant or food establishment that has 15 or more outlets anywhere in the world, so Joe's Pizza's out, but Dunkin' Donuts is in.
Gotcha.
We'll have
These are big chain stores.
15 or more, the Outbacks of the world, the Applebee's. But if you go to, again, a local restaurant.
A diner, a restaurant.
It's exempt, okay? Anything, you have to have 15 or more. So it really is the sizable, it really is the fast food and those kind of chains. They will have to, in Westchester County, like they do in the city, but not only put price, but have to post number of calories. And what New York City has found in very short order is while the cost is not that great to redo the board once you've done it, because they're constantly changing prices, right. You can slot things in and out. There's a cost, we understand, but not significant. That what people are doing is some people are utilizing that information and modifying their behavior.
So whatever their purchases are for a more healthier diet.
Starbucks has a 300-calorie muffin and an 800-calorie muffin. And people are choosing, if they want, against the 800, and they're choosing the 300. Parenthetically, the 800-calorie muffin also is a higher profit margin for Starbucks. The 300 is not, and there was some fight by a lot of the companies who said, you're going to be cutting into our profit margin, let our people decide, we'll hand out a piece of paper, we'll put it on a menu, we'll give them internet access, so they can see it. Unless it's point of sale, people aren't utilizing it.
Right.
And so what the commissioner wanted more. He wanted sodium. There was some other counts that they were considering. We said it would look like a Christmas tree. It would be too cluttered. Yeah. So we went to calories. It's worked. It's worked empirically in New York. Experience is showing it's a good thing, and we're excited coming to Westchester.
And this goes in effect
on about May, because it was 6 months from when we enacted it, which was sometime in the latter part of the fall.
Now, is this something where it's on the books for good?
Yeah,
is there a sunset provision to it? Like,
no,
is it 1 year test?
Not here. It can be. We can, like any law, if it doesn't work, we can take it off the books. Okay. But what I've been around for 11 years, and what I've seen is that when we engage in these kind of legislative initiatives, they are quickly embraced and become part of the foreground. When we went to non-smoking, the first version was smoking in non-smoking sections. The second was where employees work, you can't smoke. We got a lot of disappointment, a lot of people angry. Guess what? We've got nothing but great ideas at this point, and I think this calorie count can work very similarly.
Okay, and then the other one, my pet peeve, the idling law. Now, I'm watching on Wednesday night at the Assumption Church. I'm watching in sub-zero degree weather.
Yes.
All these cars just waiting for the children to be released from their CCD classes 8:30 at night. Yep. And I'm saying, geez, Mike Kaplowitz is saying, boy, we're going to do an idling law, and I want to see a cop right now come over here and ticket all these people.
One problem with that.
What's that?
John Nolan and I wrote in the temperature exception.
So there are.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't covered.
So there are exceptions.
There has to be. You're not looking to freeze people. Okay. Yes. We wrote in fact, we were more commonsensical. John and I both said we're not supporting this unless you put that in. You're not going to have 10 degrees and people freezing out there. But what other counties are doing, believe it or not, Nassau or Suffolk, one of them is 24 degrees, one of them is 26 degrees. Now, I wasn't the best chemistry student, but I know at 32 there's a phase change, and I know water becomes frozen at that point. I said 32 people know, and we wrote in, if it's 32 or less, no problem.
All right, Michael, 30 minutes is going awful fast. Thank you.
See, we've been idling for 30 minutes.
Idling for 30 minutes. So we'd like to thank everybody once again for an edition of the Volpe Report. Our guest tonight was County Legislator Michael Kaplowitz. Once again, Public Access Channel 15, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. in the Peekskill, Cortland viewing area, and Channel 74 in Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. in the Yorktown and Putnam Valley sections. Once again, we thank you. Any questions or comments, forward it to me or Michael at the county level. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much, and good night.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands.